Hey, thanks again for pressing play and welcome to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. I'm joined as always by my good partner in crime, Mr. Matthew Lissy. How you doing this evening, Matthew?
Hey, doing good. What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing good. It looks like for those of you watching on the YouTube stream or on Facebook or on Twitter, we both chose orange shirts today for some reason.
Yeah, we did actually. I think this is my only orange shirt I have, but it was clean. The last thing that was clean in my laundry, so that's what I went with.
Is it clean? Because the last time you cleaned it was like 8 months ago when you wore it to a game.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
I'll finally get to this.
That shirt you have on, is that the one you stole from me in the T-shirt cannon? Every
Negative,
time, dude.
This is one that says "It's our turn."
Okay.
Suns versus Spurs. This is from the 2010 playoffs. I got this.
when
we swept the playoffs. Yeah,
so that's a good one to keep, man.
This is one of those old school shirts, if you will. So respect it. I respect it. Going old school with this one. So we just got finished watching the Eastern Conference Finals and the Celtics and the Heat play. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the podcast. Just wanted to remind everybody who's watching or listening to the podcast, wherever you are, to make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching via YouTube, make sure you subscribe to that as well and hit the little bell. You know, it'll go off whenever we go live or something. I'm not 100% sure how that works. Twitter, make sure you follow the Suns Jam Session at Suns Jam on both Instagram and Twitter. And you can follow me on Twitter at Darth Voita. And you can follow Matthew on Twitter. All right. So it's Wednesday night. You know, we're doing these podcasts now just on Wednesday evenings once a week until the season, or at least the draft kind of, we have some guidance on to when that actually is going to occur. So we'll start to pick it up, do it probably twice a week again then. But it's been a week since we've talked. So we're going to go over a few things. There is an article that was put out pertaining to Devin Booker and how he's a top 3 under 25. Another article talking about DA and his ceiling and kind of where would you kind of build your franchise around him or whether or not you would. And then obviously we'll share our thoughts on everything that's got kind of going on in the NBA as far as the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals are concerned. But before I get into all that, Matthew, how's your day, man? How was your Wednesday?
It's good, man. It's like every other day, so it's kind of blends in with the other ones. But Wednesday is very special now because we are doing the podcast, so I get super excited for Wednesday. I actually turn on the lights and open some windows in my apartment. Get a little excited. I'm not just in the dark.
Get some airflow going in there, and you do laundry apparently.
Yeah, I do once a week, man.
I still think it's funny. We're wearing purple hats and orange shirts. Like, God, I swear people.
I mean, it's only 2 colors they have, right? The Suns.
Well, you could go with their alternate black, or have a white Sun shirt. That's the one I stole from you. Was the white Sun shirt?
The white one, yeah. That's
the white one.
Yeah, that was it.
Well.
Oh wait, how's your day going? Sorry, I never ask you, so I apologize.
Nobody cares, and that's okay. It's Wednesday, just getting through the week as per usual. But this is the best part of the week because I get to sit here with my friend, talk some Suns, get a drink of beer. Look at this. I got even though we're doing this at night, this is a Lagunitas daytime.
Yes.
It
tastes just like regular Lagunitas. Yeah, it's not that good, but go ahead, pop it open.
Well, let's crack it open and talk Suns, baby. So we'll get into our thoughts on the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals. But you know what? The Suns aren't in either of those. And I want to talk about some other things that are going on in Suns land, if you will. There was an article that Hoops Hype put out earlier this week, and it said NBA execs poll. They asked 15 different NBA talent evaluators, including 4 GMs, 6 executives, and 5 scouts. And they were just trying to find out what are the top players under 25 that they build around and why. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to do, especially right now as we're getting ready to go into draft season and free agency as we prepare for the 2021 season. I think it's safe to say that's going to be the 2021 season. It's not going to be a 2021 season, right?
Yeah, correct, man. But it's a great list, though, right? I mean, it's crazy when you go through this list and you're looking at these guys. You're just like, wait, they're only that old? Like, especially Jamal Murray. You think the guy's older than 23, but he's only 23, dude. And it's like he is undoubtedly maybe a top 3 in this list. But we'll go down and just see whether we agree or whether we don't agree on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start with number 15 was Karl Anthony Towns, which I thought was kind of appropriate. You know, the interesting thing as you go through these lists of under 25 guys is, like you said, oh man, I didn't realize this guy was how young or how old or whatnot. But also, like, you see the bias of these guys who used to be really up high on these lists, and somebody like Karl Anthony Towns, who's now 24 years and 313 days. So he's almost 25. How his star has kind of shined less and less as his career's gone on. Still a great talent and somebody you want as part of your team, but no longer somebody that you're technically going to build around, right?
Yeah, that was really quick. How it went from him being the greatest player on the planet, the unicorn. Now it's just somebody else. I feel like Jimmy Butler kind of hurt his ego, hurt his basically hurting anybody else that wants to go play with him besides D'Angelo Russell, besides the best friend. It hurts those chances of someone else is like, you know what? I saw how it worked out with Jimmy. Maybe it's because Jimmy was actually playing in Minnesota, so that had something to do with it. Maybe because of that reason. But I think it's just his work ethic. Maybe it's something like that. But it's hard to live that down. But he can make up for it this upcoming season with D'Angelo Russell.
Absolutely. But that's why Jimmy Butler wanted to leave there. I mean, he's a work ethic kind of guy. And I think that, you know, you look at Karl Anthony Towns and maybe D'Angelo Russell kind of falls into that as well. And we'll find that out. But that's definitely why Jimmy Buckets wanted out of there. They just didn't have the same kind of work ethic and attitude. You look at his classmates, if you will, Devin Booker being one of those. And I don't get that vibe from D-Book at all. Do you? Like, no work ethic. Like, that guy is, he puts the work in.
Yeah, he's definitely more Jimmy Buckets and I think a lot of these guys on this list. I mean, you saw it in the bubble, the way he played. It's like he honestly, of course, he made the top 3 in this list for that reason. You can see that he's going to dominate at the end of the game, and he does so much for his team. Karl Anthony Towns puts up the stats, but does he give the team pumped up and ready to go and play like Book did in the bubble? And I don't think he does. But I mean, we'll see. It's going to be a new season. Things turn around so quickly in the NBA where he'll be like the best player again next year, maybe be first team all NBA. You never know with these things.
Yeah, so I think he's appropriately at the bottom of this list at number 13. Number 12, De'Aaron Fox, who's almost 23 years old. He's 22, close to 23. I think that's appropriate. 11, Jaylen Brown. If there's anybody in here you want to talk about, just pop right in. All right, Matthew?
Yeah.
All right, so Jaylen Brown, almost 24. Brandon Ingram, number 10 at 23 years old. And again, these are guys that you want to build your franchise around. And like when I go through kind of those 3 guys right there, De'Aaron Fox, Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram, definitely guys I'm all for having on my team. Definitely guys I'm not building my franchise around.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Yeah, that is perfect. You put it perfectly. Because basically Brandon Ingram and Jaylen Brown and De'Aaron Fox, I could see as even a third guy, the third best guy on a team. Of course, you would want to have him on your team, but honestly, if you're looking at Brandon Ingram, the most improved player of the year, I can't see him. I can't see myself being excited if he's like the head of the franchise, the guy that we're wearing his jerseys and we're excited for him to take over a game and all that, because we really didn't get to see that much with the Pelicans. So I don't really see that with him. But if he's the number 2 or number 3 guy, I'd be very happy with that.
Agreed, 110%. Now, what's interesting is the next 3 guys on this list, I feel are guys that you could build a franchise around. Number 9 is Ben Simmons, 24 years old. It's still, you know, it's crazy to think that he's been drafted. He's been out for a season. He's played a few seasons. I mean, and he's still under 25. He's somebody who you could potentially build a franchise around, correct?
Definitely, dude. And I kind of feel like maybe he can be up on the list a little bit more. But he's some guy I love. And if we had him like on the Suns, if it was Ben Simmons, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton, if that just somehow happened, he can be the number 1 guy out of those 3. And that's what you want from this list. And it's some guy where he'll go number 1 in every draft. If he comes out again, some guy just like him in the NBA draft, you want to draft this guy number 1 because he's someone you want to build around.
Yeah, I think that if the Suns had him, you'd build around his skill set primarily. And that's what it comes down to with these guys. Do they have the skill set that makes you want to go ahead and build your team around them? You look at the next guy on the list, and it's Jamal Murray. I don't know if you necessarily would build a team around him, but he's a definite number 2 guy, and as he's proving in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah. He needs a team around him. That team he has around him, though, is just so great from top to bottom. A lot of guys you can't stop, but he honestly has just proven himself. And this list came out. It's like, oh, why is he so low on the list? Because he's in the playoffs right now, might make the NBA Finals. Who knows? But if he does, honestly, of course, he'd be like number one on this list. But with the help of the team he has, he is succeeding in that position. I don't know if I would be very excited to have this guy as my number one. I would love him beside Devin Booker. And Booker would be the number one role. But Jamal Murray, he's a killer, man. I love to watch that guy play.
Amen. And then number 7 on the list is a 20-year-old Zion Williamson. And obviously that's somebody that the New Orleans Pelicans are building their franchise around. I mean, he is a phenomenal talent. I think he's a little heavy. I think it's somebody who I don't know if I necessarily want to build my franchise around, but definitely someone who I'd like to be a part of my franchise, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. The injury thing's a little bit scary. Maybe we'll agree on that.
Yep.
But if he's going in the draft, you got to draft him number 1. Yeah. Oh, if you knew how the season would end, the way Ja Morant played and Zion played, how he didn't play and how he looked heavy, would you still pick Zion number 1 over Ja Morant?
Unfortunately, I think you have to. Me personally, I'd probably pick
too.
Ja Morant because I'm more on the Ja Morant camp, but I'm typically on the camps that nobody agrees with. Like when everybody wanted Ayton and I wanted Luka, too soon. But I still think that you have to go with Zion because of the upside there. I think that what he proved since he's about 13 years old is this guy is an out of this world talent. He's Charles Barkley-esque. And he has the work ethic to prove it, too. It's not like he's like a lazy big dude. He's somebody who's always proven that he wants to go out there and dominate and have a good time doing it. So you put all those factors together, and it's really tough to take him over Ja Morant. I personally would take Ja Morant just because I'm always more of the point guard type. It's funny. When you talk about like the Arizona Cardinals, I'm always like draft defense. And whenever it comes to like the Suns, I'm like, get a point guard. Like I don't know what it is, but that's just kind of the side I normally lean towards.
It's because the Cardinals never had a defense, and then the Suns haven't had a point guard in a while.
Oh, we've always had point guards.
Well, not in 10 years, but
not in 10 years. So before we get to the top 5, I do want to bring up something that somebody, Todd Jacobson, brought up in the Facebook chat. He said MJ didn't make his first All-NBA team until he was 24, and his first championship it wasn't until he was 28. Is it fair to write these guys off when they are so young, Matthew?
That's what we're supposed to do. You know what I mean? That way, okay, we write them off now, and then they have the doubters. That way, when they're winning awards, when they're winning the championship, they can say, hey, I had all you guys say I couldn't do it, but look at me now. That's the reason people do this, is because we write these lists, and then they look at these lists. The players love to look at these lists, and they can go off of that. It motivates them. It's just like it's a vicious circle, and then it motivates them. If it doesn't, then they're out of the league soon.
Yeah, I want them to stand on the podium and be like, you know what, the Suns jam session fucking didn't give me any love back on September 23rd, 2020, and that's why I did this. No, I think that when you look at these lists, unfortunately, we live in a world of lists. There's a million writers out there, and they're just constantly making lists and comparing guys, and it's really hard to compare and contrast people and their skill sets. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say that we're writing these guys off necessarily. Every one of these guys on here is talented. I would definitely want as a part of my team. The topic of discussion is primarily who would you want to take out of these guys to build around. So I'm not necessarily writing them off. I'm just saying if I had to pick one of these guys to build my team around, these are the guys that I'm going to go ahead and do it around. So thank you for the question, Todd.
Yeah, they're players, though they want to be the guys. So, I mean, it helps us to doubt them in a little bit. Just it helps them along the way.
Yep. All right, so here we go. Number 5, Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, you missed Bam Adebayo.
Oh, number 6. I'm sorry. Yeah, Bam Adebayo. Sorry.
Yeah,
I love Bam Adebayo.
No, yeah, everyone does. I think, especially now after this last season, it could be like, I don't know if he would he be a guy to build around, though? I mean, he's fantastic. I just think it's
the same reason I think that Ayton isn't on the list, because Ayton, right now in the NBA, they don't know what to do with centers, and like Karl Anthony Towns is on the fringe of this, and he's a center who could shoot the 3 ball at an unbelievable clip. So the guys who made this list probably didn't include Ayton for that reason. They put Bam Adebayo up there because he's probably one of the most talented centers, young centers, obviously in the league. But I still I don't know if I could build around him. But
I know they take longer. Dude, okay, so the center position, it takes longer to develop, right? We gave Alex Len 5 years and he turned out fantastic. But no, they honestly do. They take longer to develop, dude. So that is the main reason. You're not going to see them on these lists because when they hit their peak, it's like 26, 27. It's like, oh, look at like that's what we're seeing right now. You know, we're seeing Nikola Jokic or whatever his freaking name is. Jokic, like he's not on this list, of course, but he's older. It took him a while to establish the name. That's just the way it is with bigger guys.
Yeah, it takes a little bit to understand how to utilize their bodies in the space provided in a league that is constantly changing. So it is a little bit tougher. But Bam Adebayo, given his physicality and more importantly, his attitude, I think that's what makes Bam such a great player and somebody who you could potentially build around because he's got that fire and aggressiveness that you need to be successful at the center position.
Yes, he does.
Which is one of the issues that we have with DeAndre Ayton. He's got the physical tools. He doesn't have kind of what's going on in between the ear tools, if you will. All right, so yeah, number 5, 24 years old, Donovan Mitchell. I didn't realize he was that old.
Me neither. Honestly, if you were to ask me, I would say 23. Just exactly. It's like right there.
Yeah, 22 or 23. I mean, he's been in the league for 3 years. I thought he was a one-and-doner. I guess not. I don't really know his whole story, nor do I really care.
Yeah, but he's so much better than people think. I know there's always that comparison between him and Devin Booker, but honestly, this dude, like, he kills it on the court. He really has. He's learned a lot. He's matured a lot. He has that fake energy that I don't like, where he's just like pumping himself up and yelling at himself. It's like I don't like to see that too much. But besides that, man, the guy can tear it up, and I think it's a good spot for him on this list.
All right, number 4, Ja Morant, 21 years old. Number 3, Devin Booker, almost 24. Number 2, Jason Tatum, 22. Number 1, obviously, Luka Doncic, 21. Yep. So I'll go over that list one more time. Again, this is from Hoops Hype, and this is their list of what 15 NBA talent evaluators said are the top players under 25 that they build around. And number 1, Luka. Number 2, Jason Tatum. Number 3, D-Book. Number 4, Ja Morant. Number 5, Donovan Mitchell. Number 6, Bam Adebayo. Number 7, Zion. Number 8, Jamal Murray. Number 9, Ben Simmons. Number 10, Brandon Ingram. Number 11, Jaylen Brown. Number 12, De'Aaron Fox. Number 13, Karl Anthony Towns. So now that we've gone through that list, I'll ask you this to start. Who is underrated on this list? Who's not properly rated in your opinion?
I think Karl Anthony Towns, I think he needs to be higher, honestly. I think he is a guy you can still build off of. I know we just gave him crap, but I think he can put him in front of like Brandon Ingram or Jaylen Brown just because he can turn his career around that quickly to where he can put up stats and all of a sudden have a mediocre team around him. That'd be good enough to see like, hey, just put some more pieces around him. This guy's a great building piece or a centerpiece. And I think that's my guy. I feel like that could just probably be up on this list a little bit more.
See, you're doing that. So in 5 years from now, he's like, hey, you know the reason I joined the Phoenix Suns is because I was listening to the Suns Jam Session podcast on September 23rd, 2020. And Matthew Lissy was pumping me up. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Phoenix. I see what you're doing there, Matthew.
Yeah,
I'm reading right through you.
Speaker. Yep.
Yeah, I dig it. All right, so who's overrated on this list?
Overrated? I don't know. This one's kind of tough. I think.
No, it's not.
Maybe Jason Tatum in the way.
Bam.
But I'm really weird about Jason Tatum. He's killing it tonight in the second half, but he is the guy, seriously, where he can go from like the greatest player ever to overrated so quickly. So I just don't know where to put him on this list. I would have put him in the middle.
Yes.
I would have put a few guys ahead of him that are on top of him. That's the guy I think is just a little bit overrated on this list, man.
I think he's drastically overrated, and I don't want to go into my whole anti-Jason Tatum rants. I think I did that on the last podcast. I just don't understand him. He reminds me kind of Devin Booker like 2 or 3 years ago, where Devin Booker just made decisions in games where you shake your head. I mean, Devin Booker was averaging a ton of turnovers a couple seasons ago, and they were just dumb turnovers. It wasn't like what he's doing now. Because if you look at Devin Booker now, his turnovers, if you look at B-ball index, his turnovers are essentially occurring on really high-risk passes. Like, it's not dumb stuff like he threw it out of bounds. It's like he's going high risk, high reward on his passes. And that's how Devin Booker's evolved his game. And Jason Tatum, again, it's like there's like 3 minutes in the Eastern Conference game, 4 tonight. And I mean, he's just making dumb passes, running into guys, getting offensive fouls, kind of doing stuff like that, to where he's not somebody I necessarily would want to build my organization around. I feel like Ja Morant is somebody who should be higher on this list, but I think it should be Luka number 1, and I'll take Devin Booker at number 2. You know, he's number 3, and let's start here. You know, after we get 20 minutes into the podcast, Booker being number 3 out of all these players under 25 to build your franchise around on some, you know, hoops hype website is awesome. Seeing his, you know, now that's that national exposure that we've been waiting for, that the bubble provided. These are the little things that we're going to start to see, that we've talked about multiple times about what happened in the bubble and why it's so important for Phoenix. Because in the past, he'd be number 8 or number 10, and we'd be sitting here be like, are you shitting me? Like him or Donovan Mitchell? Like, no way. It's like, you know, Jamal Murray better than him? No way, you know. But now that we've had some success in the bubble, it's really been fun to see things like this occur. He's got the attention of the national media, and then everything else is going to kind of follow around there. But again, I think that Jason Tatum is just overrated in this list, and I love the fact that Devin Booker is, I feel, correctly slotted at 3. I'd maybe say 2. Would you say he's correctly slotted?
I think 3 is good. I think maybe you can put a few people ahead of him, maybe even John Morant. I know it's tough to say John Morant's a rookie, but you saw a lot from that dude. I mean, to have him they should have made the playoffs, Memphis Grizzlies, so I think that puts him ahead. But honestly, of course, like what you said with Booker and the Suns in the bubble, their play, that just helps so much. I don't even think he would have cracked the top 10 if we didn't have the bubble play. But honestly, you can see it, dude. Even though they played against a lot of bench warmers in the bubble to get those wins and stuff, but who wouldn't want to play with this dude? He's not over dramatic. He doesn't complain a lot really anymore as much as he used to. He's not a baby anymore as much. And he's just like a guy that I feel like can bring so much to the team, just literally like from his playmaking, shooting, of course, and just motivation to the players. I think they'll follow this guy. That he's a guy you can follow. He's Kobe Bryant-esque without the attitude and the bitchery and all that. Rest in peace. I'm sorry. That was actually kind of rude. But he is that. I'm just saying, like, he is the guy I feel like the team will love to be around. And that matters a lot, dude.
Big time. And I think that culture that we're building here in Phoenix is going to attract those potential free agents, which we've talked about numerous times. And again, things like this, it might not seem like much. You know, Devin Booker making some random hoops hype list. It does matter. These are the little things that allow your organization to get some validity and make people want to eventually come here. Is there anyone on this list that you would have the Suns build around that isn't named Devin Booker?
Luka, of course.
It's a dumb question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, of course it's Luka, right?
Well, here's one from the chat on YouTube. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Carts took that W, said Trae Young. Trae Young's not on this list.
That's strange, right?
That makes me happy because I'm a known Trae Young basher ever since he's overrated in every fucking aspect of basketball ever.
I still love Trae Young, but honestly, it's because they're not winning. I mean, they're a worse team, Phoenix, and then whatever Phoenix did in the bubble, that's the only reason Booker made top on this list. So if Trae Young was in the same position, he would have been top on the list too. It's just he's not winning right now.
Exactly.
So it's good to say that. It's good to say that about another player besides the Suns player. So
yeah, we've been saying that about Suns players for far too long.
For a long time.
All right, so good old Bleacher Report put out an article. It said NBA players who could become stars by next season. And this was written by Mandela Namaste. And number 1 on his list was DeAndre Ayton. So kudos to, here's another article where Suns are getting a little bit of love. What are your thoughts on DeAndre Ayton taking number 1 on this list? And truly, what are your expectations for DA? You know, next season. We're starting to get to that point where our eyes are starting to drift away from what happened in the bubble. Okay, that was over a month ago. The next season's going to be right around the corner. The NBA Finals start next week. We're going to go into draft. We're going to go into free agency. But it's now time to start really thinking as we look forward into 2021 who this team is going to be. So it's going to be fun kind of filling out all those blocks and seeing how James Jones builds this franchise. But what our expectations are for specific players. So I'll start there. What are your expectations for DA in 2021?
Man, honestly, it's improving a little bit. But what I love to see from what I've seen in the playoffs from Bam Adebayo is he's a guy that finishes plays. He has a high IQ on the basketball court. That's where I want DeAndre to, continue to improve. I think he has a hard time finishing plays, being in the right spots, throwing down the lobs, not being in the right position. That's something I see Bam do every play. And I think Ayton has a lot to do with he can be what Bam is, a mixture between him and like what AD can be. I said that last podcast, but it's so true. If he can improve on that, I would love that. I would just the IQ of the game, and I think that's going to happen. And honestly, his stats are there. Everything is there. Once the team is winning, he'll never like really be in the beginning of the season. I think the guy he'll continue to improve if he can stay healthy and not be suspended. That would be great too. Not get suspended. That's another one. But honestly, dude, I think the thing that we can all do to help him is just accept his personality, accept the way he plays. Like you mentioned before, where in between the years, he's not the way Bam is yet, but this is the way DeAndre Ayton is. And this is kind of the way Shaq was. Shaq had that weird personality where it's just like, you have to deal with it or you can't. Kobe couldn't deal with it. Kobe kicked him off the team because Kobe didn't want him there. And honestly, there's a book coming out. Did you see that? The 3-ring circus with the, it's pretty cool. I want to read that, but it's a lot about just Kobe not accepting the personalities of others. And I think that's why we have Devin Booker here. Devin Booker is the guy that can accept DA in his personality. As long as he's productive on the court, I don't think he gives a crap the way he acts and the way he is off the court. So I think that's going to be huge just from us helping DeAndre and improve by just accepting him.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said winning. DA's already putting up the stats. I mean, is he putting them up in the way that we always necessarily enjoy? No, he's kind of that second half player. He kind of finishes the game out. He comes out in the first half and he's tentative. He's trying to figure out the game for himself. To your point, he's thinking. You can see him thinking sometimes, and sometimes it can be infuriating and frustrating. But as he's progressing and you go into next season, he's going to continue to put up those stats. And at the same time, the Suns are going to start to win. And then all of a sudden, those stats, they're going to be on SportsCenter. 18 and 12. Somebody gets 18 and 12, it's a big deal. Not when the Suns do it because they look, it's a loss. But if he's doing it in a win, all of a sudden they're like, hey, look how solid. Oh, yeah, this is the guy who went ahead of Luka Doncic. Yeah. All of a sudden he'll start to get that love. And his defense is going to improve as well. That was the funnest part about this year is even when he was gone for 25 games and came back, and we got to see a muted version of DeAndre Ayton, he improved his defense. He is continuing to learn how to play this game and play it well. And his athleticism, I think, is absolutely huge, as much akin to him as we go into next season to help progress his ceiling. You got to ask that question from time to time: is the NBA truly moving away from the dominant big man? And it's like yes and no, right?
Well, it's no to me. I've always just these questions, I just piss them away, dude. There's no reason to even answer them because, like I said, it's positionless basketball, the best player on the court. And you hit it on the head too. I think we say that a lot. You hit the nail on the head, you hit the head on the nail, all of that. But honestly, it has a lot to do with just him learning. And that is perfect because the more he learns the game, he's already a huge dude, doesn't need to build any more muscles. I think he has all the tools, the personality, all of that. As long as he's learning, my voice cracked a little bit. I kind of talked over it. As long as he's learning, he is honestly he's going to be the guy Ryan McDonough is going to tweet about in 2 years, be like, oh, see this guy when we're in the playoffs and we beat the Mavericks. Oh, it's like, this is why I took him ahead of Luka Doncic. It's that reason because he's going to improve. He just needs time.
No, I completely agree with you there. Time is on our side when it comes to DA too, because we have him under contract for the next few years. So we get to watch his maturity and his growth. And I think that, when you talk about a dominant big man, how close to Nikola Jokic do you think DA's archetype kind of is? Do you think he's going that route?
Dude, no. Jokic is such a weird thing. I don't even know. I think the passing, I've always said I think DA can be a great passer, but Jokic's game is just like kind of just like, just like flubber or like something going through the cracks of a door, just making its way through the game. That's the way Jokic plays. And I think honestly, well, he's super skinny now, which is great and awesome. And I love Jokic. I just don't think you can compare him to Jokic or a lot of players right now. I think his ceiling for me is like what Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo are together. That's what I think DA can be. But to say he can be like Jokic, I mean, what do you think? I mean, his passing is going to be there, but what else do you see in Jokic that DA might like obtain?
The 3-point shot. I think that one thing that Jokic does extremely well is has the ability to shoot the 3-pointer, not overly effectively. He's a 30% from downtown, 30 to 35%. So I definitely think that if he's shooting those with some efficiency, it stretches his game more. I think he's obviously more athletic than Jokic. Jokic's body control is what makes him so dangerous. I mean, he has the ability to shoot that Larry Bird / Dirk Nowitzki-esque, kind of one foot fadeaway shot that's really hard to defend. That's something that DA is not going to have the ability to do. But I think where he's very similar than with Jokic is the fact that he goes to the hole and he's not overly aggressive. Like Jokic is just caring about the 2 points. He's not trying to put you on SportsCenter. He's like, whatever he's got to do technically sound to get that ball in the hoop, he's going to do. And I think that's where DA is going to continue to progress. And you hit the nail on the head, Matthew, when you said that, we need to accept him for who he is. And that's what we have to do. We want those highlight dunks. We see him on occasion where there's an alley-oop and he barely jumps off the ground, but he throws it down. And you're just like, you get up and you just, you get jacked. And that's not necessarily who he is. We got to appreciate the fact that this guy is a fantastic shooter from the mid-range, a guy who's made some threes now, a guy who you can rely on in crunch time making free throws. Is he a guy who goes out there and gets the contact? No, not yet, but maybe it's something he'll learn. But he's somebody who can shoot the ball, and we have to appreciate that. And I don't know why we've gone on this whole DA tangent, but I think it's as we look towards next season, we need to start looking at these players and see how they progress. I'm with Suns Geek in the chat on YouTube. I believe in DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, I do too. Honestly, if you look at his stats second year compared to AD, they are very similar, but DeAndre Ayton's a more efficient scorer already. So slow the ball down, get to your spots on the floor, and just put the ball in the hoop.
Yes, please. Just get that ball in the hoop. That's all we need. Before we get on to our next one, real quick, Todd in the chat. DA looks too comfortable at times and coasts at times. I think he would do better playing in a different city where he didn't go to high school. What do you think about that, Matthew?
I don't know. I mean, I don't understand it.
I think accept him for who he is. No, I get exactly what Todd's saying. DA again, like we said, I was mentioning earlier in the first half, he's figuring the game out. He's letting because he's not the primary guy, because we don't need him to go out there and score 35 a game. He comes out, he feels it out a little bit. And I think Todd's point is like, hey, maybe if he was in unfamiliar settings, he'd play better. I'll tell you what, he was in unfamiliar settings in Orlando and he played like DeAndre Ayton does. He's pretty consistent in the way that he performs. He just kind of lackadaisical in that first half trying to figure it out. And then the second half, either he pumps himself up a little bit or Monty does a really good job coaching and be like, okay, now that we've figured out what defenses are trying to do, let's adjust and allow DeAndre Ayton to open himself up.
Yes. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, go ahead.
I know. Telekinesis between us two here. Next thing I wanted to talk about real quick is NBA Free Agency 2020. There was an article that was put out by Greg Patutu. Yeah, it's Patutu. I'm going to go with Patutu. And he says that he's looking at the 3 early destinations for unrestricted free agent Montrezl Harrell. Okay. And he says the Charlotte Hornets, the Toronto Raptors, and number 1 on his list was the Phoenix Suns. He said the Suns are a team that immediately jumps out when thinking about destinations for Montrezl Harrell. Phoenix is at a point where they need to add some solid players to their roster, and that is what Harrell is. Harrell is a player who takes over the paint. Yes, the Suns already have that with DeAndre Ayton, but Harrell would add another dynamic to the team. Devin Booker and Harrell would be an elite duo running the pick and roll. What are your thoughts on that, Matthew?
Yeah, I want this guy bad. I think you can pay him. What do you think he'll make? 12 to 15 a year? I think you pay him. No, he's a bench player, dude. He'll come off the bench. He'll play alongside DA if he needs to. He'll play the center position. He gives hustle. 6 Man of the Year awards, 18 points coming off the bench. I'm not even reading these stats. It's just from memory. And honestly, I this is a guy I truly want. I think he'll be a perfect fit. He got the toughness. I think it's a real toughness with this guy. But honestly, I love the fact, I don't know if you heard about this, but Paul George and how the team kind of in LA are not believing in him. They don't want to come back because they want to get paid. If he wants to get paid, he has to go somewhere else. And I think Phoenix is the best destination to where he can play with players he believes in. And I think Booker is a perfect fit with him. Even though he's coming off the bench, he's going to be a starting. He can play the 4 and play the 5, which is exactly what we need. And I would love this if we get this guy.
I completely agree. I think, when you ask that initial question, what will he get paid? And that's kind of the big question out there.
I asked and just kept moving on.
Yeah. Well, but no, I mean, you had your points to make, and it gave me a little time to think. He made $6 million these past 2 seasons. He signed a 2-year extension for $12 million with the Clippers. And to your point, he's going to be leaving LA. There's no doubt in my mind about that. They have too much money tied up in Kawhi and Paul George. The culture there isn't probably very productive following, your superstar saying, you know what, I didn't want to win this year. I'm going to wait till next year. I'm clearly paraphrasing, but I think that he's going to want to go somewhere where he's appreciated and he's properly paid. Therein lies the question. $12 million, I think he's the kind of guy who will sign either another 2-year, like $30 million contract, so $15 million a year, maybe a 1-year deal, because we don't know what's going to go on with free agency and the cap and things of that nature at the end of this season. How do you think he fits into the team, though? Because, they're talking about taking up the paint, running the pick and roll with Harrell and Devin Booker. I mean, I like I like Ricky Rubio and DeAndre Ayton doing the pick and roll. It'd be interesting to see how the dynamic fits. I mean, he's obviously the right attitude kind of guy, but is he somebody that you can see actually working within the confines of the offense?
Yes. I mean, he does everything we want from a backup center. He doesn't shoot the three, but who cares, dude? I mean, this guy's going to put in great minutes. He's so consistent. It's like basically getting Rashawn Holmes, but 2.0 version, 10.0, like the better version of Rashawn Holmes. Consistent all year long, dude. He's gonna be worth the money. I really think so. And I think over a lot of the free agents, I think this is the guy you have to go and try to land.
I'm a big Montrezl Harrell fan. Cards took that W in the chat, said rather have Christian Wood. The issue I feel like Christian Wood is he's gonna be too expensive. Harrell's somebody who you could actually bring in for $15 million a year, or maybe a 2-year deal, and he'll play off the bench. Christian Wood's gonna be a starter. And you're going to have to completely change your offense, because he is somebody who's going to operate in the paint, and that's where DeAndre Ayton needs to feast and live. Harrell's somebody who you can bring in and essentially spell DeAndre Ayton, because we don't have a 5. We don't have a backup. Aaron Baines is gone. I don't know who that backup 5 is going to be, but I think that Montrezl Harrell coming in, who can play that 5 off the bench and a 4 at times when DA's in there, I think gives us a better chance and a more dynamic offense and defense, really.
Yeah, well, would you rather have him or Ibaka? If we were going to pay them the same amount of money, who would you rather have?
Probably Montrezl Harrell, because he's younger. Ibaka has had some injuries in his career. He's at the back end. He's at the twilight. He's walking to the sunset. And I'd rather have Montrezl Harrell, because you know what? Maybe he comes here, he likes it here, and we can get a veteran discount next time his contract's up, maybe. Here's something I found interesting, though. Definitely not Ryan McDonough on Twitter, @NotRyanMcD, put a poll out earlier today, and it says, does Montrezl Harrell fit well in the Suns? Would you be interested in signing him over, say, Bertans, Gallinari, or Wood, depending on what Jeremy Grant does? What if the options all sign elsewhere? Does he make sense? And then he put a poll out there. And Grant, I took this poll a little bit earlier in the day, but at the time he had 72 votes on the poll. 81.9% of the people who voted on this poll said they were not interested in Harrell. Matthew, are we the minority in this?
We are. And now I'm rethinking it, because I want to be with the group that, I want people to agree with me. But honestly, I think when you bring up Jeremy Grant, I think that is a great fit too. Him and Harrell are the two guys that I really want. But it is kind of crazy. I don't know. Do people not realize what Harrell will bring to the team? Like I just don't understand it. I don't know.
It's like Aaron Baines, but better.
But like he is just so much better than Aaron Baines. I don't understand it, man. Maybe because he played on the Clippers and they think it's just a situation, a better team, better ball club. Maybe because of that. But I'm telling you, you're gonna get everything you want in this guy. As soon as he's throwing on that Suns uniform, playing the first or second game, we're winning. We'll go 2-0 this year. Who knows? Everyone's going to love this guy.
Sounds like the Arizona Cardinals. Suns Geek, if the Suns bring in Montrezl Harrell, does that mean Kelly Oubre's gone?
I mean, I think he's gone no matter what. But, I mean, I don't think it would be because he's here. Do you think Kelly would be gone because of that reason? Just for money-wise? Is that
money? I think would be the only reason. Yeah. If there's some way where we could sign Montrezl Harrell and keep Kelly Oubre, obviously that's the slam dunk. That means you have Cam Johnson and Montrezl Harrell coming in off the bench, and our second team unit is fantastic.
I don't know, man. It's tough when you bring Kelly in it. Now it's just like, I don't know. My feelings are involved. I'm not a good manager. I'm not going to be able to manage this team, so I can't get that involved, dude.
Real quick, I just wanted to mention Brian Randall joining the Phoenix Suns. Yeah. I don't think that this is something that we have. Oops, clicked the wrong thing.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. It's not something that we've mentioned on the podcast as of yet. but I thought we'd give a couple minutes and just welcome one of the newest assistant coaches to the team. Brian Randall. Prior to the bubble, we said goodbye to Steve Blake and Larry Greer. And then a couple weeks ago, they hired one back, and they got Brian Randall. So what are your initial thoughts on him, Matthew?
I mean, I trust it. I think Monte's really getting his guys. I mean, the signings of Cameron Payne and all that, I think a lot of it has to do with Monte and James Jones, who they want. I trust what they're doing now. Excuse me. I don't know.
What's got to be there. I hope that's the motorcycle in the background and not you dropping deucers.
No, not yet. But anyways, so I think I trust Monte in this. I didn't know a lot about him, honestly, and I kind of thought they would bring back Steve Blake, but who knows what went on between them and the whole team. So, I mean, I trust this. What are your initial thoughts? Do you think it's something to do with Karl Anthony Towns coming to the Suns? Is that what's going on?
Well, maybe. I mean, you look, he played collegiately at the University of Illinois, played 10 years in Israel, Germany, and Italy, 3-time best defender in the Israeli league where he won a championship, and then he was a Timberwolves assistant video coordinator who became a player development coach, and then he was an assistant coach with the Timberwolves last year. Okay, that's his resume. I have no idea who Brian Randall is, so I'm just going to trust the Suns and what they're doing.
You trust them.
And I saw that he was a defensive guy, and any guy who was, I think he was 6'8" to 6'10", somewhere in there. Any guy who's a defensive guy, like I said earlier, I love defense. So welcome Brian Randall to the Valley of the Suns. I hope you're watching tonight.
Yeah, welcome.
All right, it's time for our thoughts, Matthew.
Thoughts. Brains?
All right, our thoughts, Matthew.
Did you hear that? I didn't even get to hear it.
What's that?
I didn't even get to hear the music.
Oh, I heard it for sure. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay, I didn't get to hear it.
I hope everyone else heard it. It was hilarious.
I didn't even hear this whole podcast, so oh well.
Turn up the volume. So I wanted to talk about, obviously, what's going on in the NBA right now. We're in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. We touched on the Eastern Conference Finals a little bit earlier, seen as the game just ended. The Heat are now up 3-1, and looks like they are on their way to the NBA Finals because Boston just can't get by these guys, man.
Well, no one really can, but can you still count out Boston? I think it's kind of tricky. I think this team still has it in them. I think they're still looking at the roster. It's like the most complete team. And then you just have this game come up where Tyler Hero just takes over, and then everyone's tweeting about this mother. And then, like, what I say last week, like, this guy might be better than Devin Booker. I was getting a lot of crap for that. But then he goes out and scores 33 tonight, hitting ridiculous threes. Like, it's crazy because I still think Boston has a chance to win. I don't want them to win because I don't want to watch Jason Tatum anymore because I can't consistently get what I want out of the guy. So I want to watch Miami Heat go to the finals. I want to see them versus the Lakers. And I want Miami Heat to take down the Lakers for LeBron leaving the Heat. Everyone keeps forgetting about that, dude. Everyone's forgetting about that, right?
Dude, you beat me to the point, man. It's exactly where I was going to go. How great would it be that the Lakers beat the Nuggets and then they have to play the Heat, and then the Heat deny LeBron? Like, how much bitching and
we hear from LeBron?
Yes. Oh, God.
He nudges him out. He goes to the locker room, nudges Spoelstra on the way to the locker room while Spoelstra's holding up the trophy. Yeah, that'd be great.
LeBron's walking off the court, head down. You can see the monkey on the back of his head. Spoelstra just gives us a butt slap. Oh, that's worth the price of admission right there.
Yeah.
I know the NBA wants the Celtics and the Lakers just because those are two major cities and it's the rivalry, and it'd be a good narrative to sell in the bubble, and they'd shove it down our throats since we couldn't fucking handle it anymore. But I'm loving what the Heat are doing. Here's what I don't love. I don't love how I have to hear Bill Simmons on Thursday when he's sitting down with I think it's is it cousin? Oh yeah, it's Ryan Russillo on Thursday, yes. And they'll just be talking like how much they all he's going to talk about is Tyler Hero. Like, he's going to man crush on him because he's going to be pissed that he's beaten his Boston Celtics, and he's going to adopt Tyler Hero, I think, and he's going to move into Bill Simmons' house.
Yeah, he'll be like, Tyler Hero is a guy that you can definitely build a team around. If you're going to take, he always does, if you take the top 3 players right now to build a team around Jokic, it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like what?
It's like he would put Hero on there, and Hero's another guy on the list we did earlier, the top 25 or whatever under to build a team around under the age of 25. I think he's one of them that could potentially next year you can see that leap, but I already had a crush on the guy all season. I think the guy is fantastic. You look at his Instagram, he loves the big booty hose. So you got to give him up to that. But honestly, dude, this guy is insane. I think it's just the trust within the team, though. The whole team is just feeding off of what Jimmy Butler gives. And what he's giving really is just the team an opportunity and the players to do whatever the hell they want, the court, because he trusts them. And then that's where you get the confidence from these guys and where you're seeing from Tyler Hero, because he's shooting threes with Marcus Smart all over him and just nailing them. It's like, you don't see the complaining. Even if he was to miss that shot, you wouldn't see Jimmy Butler or Dragic get on him because I think they just trust that guy that much.
And the respect I have for Hero too is he's not some guy who, because he shoots a ton of threes, both him and Duncan Robinson. They shoot a ton of threes. They never kick their legs out trying to get the foul. You notice that?
Yeah, not yet. Hopefully they never do. Yeah, not yet.
I love seeing clean basketball, and it annoys. I mean, I was watching the Western Conference Finals yesterday, and Anthony Davis is doing that shit where he's jumping into guys. And it's like, I can't stand that stuff. And then of course they don't call and he turns to the ref, and then he's late on defense. And, it's kind of, it's pathetic. And that's, again, the thing I like about Miami is the thing I think that the Suns could really emulate, because I feel like we have a lot of the similar personalities. They just do it the right way, man. They're not bitching. They're not complaining. They're just going out there. They're shooting. They're playing well as a team. They are a team, which is what the Suns were in the bubble. Like, we were one of the reasons we went 8-0. We were a team, one of the best teams, the best team in those 8 games.
Yeah, and we were quiet about it too. We weren't celebrating. We went 8-0. Of course, we didn't make the playoffs, but that was what it's all about. It's like Miami's like, we're holding that trophy and celebrating, or we're not going to celebrate. We're not going to celebrate after these stupid little wins to get to the finals, because it doesn't matter, because you still have to beat them 4 times. And this is the team where if they're up 3-1, unlike the Clippers, I trust them more than any other team, really, just to get it done and finish everything to make it to the finals. And I think that's what's going to happen with them. But honestly, yeah, up and down, they have Iguodala, which doesn't, he's playing defense, but Dragic really, to me, I think we talked about this before, where I think he's going to get paid this summer and be a starter somewhere, but just because of the way he's been playing out of his mind. I mean, I don't know if he's going to come back to Miami or not, but they just have a lot of those players where everyone's going to be kind of just going after them in the free agent market, and just kind of just seeing them as seeing these players as like a replicant of what they want their team to look like. So, and like you said, the Suns are that team, it seems like, without the winning.
What are your thoughts on the Western Conference Finals thus far? Because if you think about it, the Lakers are up 2-1, but if Anthony Davis doesn't hit that like miracle shot, they're down 2-1.
It's crazy, right? I mean, it's that easy to be down 2-1, but I think a lot of people are overlooking just LeBron is kind of, I think, managing his rest. Remember, he did this 2 years ago when they played against the Celtics, and then he was managing every other game where he wouldn't give it his all to the next game. Do you feel like he's doing that right now? I mean, they almost lost the last game before this game, before the last 2 games ago. So the one you were saying where Anthony Davis hit the 3 to win the game. I think that if he misses that, it's a completely different game in game 3. I think the Lakers come out and just steamroll them. I don't think they go down by 20. It's just, I think LeBron took the night off this last game, kind of in a way. He still put up the stats, but instead of throwing down the big dunks, he was throwing it off the backboard with the little finger rolls. So I think he was just kind of resting a little bit.
No, I agree. I mean, he's 35. He's almost 36 years old. And you're starting to see a little of that fatigue. And I think that that's one thing that LeBron's done really well during his career, is have the ability to manage himself during a game and have the ability to rest during a game. He's going 3-point line to 3-point line. He's picking and choosing when he's going to the basket. And on those games where he's taking a night off, he's making layups, not, fast break dunks. And he can do that on a team like this because he has the Anthony Davises of the world. What killed him, obviously, this last game is they had no rebounding whatsoever. And Jamal Murray finally figured out, he's like, oh, shit, I'm the key to us winning, because they're going to do everything they can to neutralize Jokic. I'm really interested to see where this series goes, because I feel like this could be a 7-game series because of that reason. Because it is, as I've been saying the whole time with the Los Angeles Lakers, they're a 2-headed monster. And if one of those heads is a little off one night, Denver is a team that is a complete team, much akin to the Heat, and they can beat you in a lot of different ways. Jeremy Grant, we talk about him. He's a guy who's pricing himself out of the market, I feel. I feel like somebody we talked about back in like April, we'd be like, you know what? We'd love to get Jeremy Grant on the Phoenix Suns. He's pricing himself out of the market with his performance in the finals, because he's realized, and I think Denver's realized, that if he plays well, they'll win. And he's got to be that X factor for them to win, because they're going to try to take Jokic away, and they're going to try to play hard defense on Jamal Murray. So Jeremy Grant's kind of the guy.
Yeah, they doubled the guy too. I mean, if they're getting doubled, you're going to get paid big bucks too. And it just really quick, if I hear one more thing about these guys being tired and not finishing a game, does it make sense to you? It's just like they haven't played much basketball this year, and they're not even playing back-to-backs. They're playing every other night. Like, how can these guys be so tired? I know you're playing 42 minutes, 43 minutes of the game, but does it matter anymore? The season, like, everyone wants to rest so much, but does it matter anymore? Like, we're hearing that the players are tired, even though after the longest break ever in sports history, and these guys come back and play, and they're just like, they're saying they're tired. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it.
Well, that's what they were saying after the Clippers lost, was a ding against load management. They're like, it doesn't matter about load management. They're still fucking winded, you know?
Yeah,
and Todd in the chat said it too. No travel either. So it's like, why are you guys so goddamn tired? Like, I get it. It's a physical sport. It's intense. But I mean, isn't that what you guys are training for the whole season?
Yeah, I know. You can't hear that excuse anymore. It just drives me crazy, man. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get tired. You're going to get tired, I guess. That's the way it is. It's like whether you played a game yesterday or 200 days ago, you're still going to get tired. I don't know.
All right, so I got this one for you, okay? Because you're the LeBron lover on the podcast for sure.
Yeah.
So LeBron's complaining about his amount of votes for MVP. This is what he said. It pissed me off. That's my answer. It pissed me off because out of 101 votes, I got 17 first-place votes. That's what pissed me off more than anything. I'm not saying that the winner wasn't deserving of the MVP, but that pissed me off. I finished second in a lot of my career, from either a championship and now 4 times as the MVP. What are your thoughts on LeBron being pissed off about getting 16 votes for the fucking MVP? You big fucking baby.
You know what? I mean, Giannis won it fair and square. I think we all voted for Giannis. They had the best record in the NBA. He was the best player throughout the season. LeBron is the best player. Of course, if you're going to build a team around a player right now for like the next 2 years, I'm going to pick LeBron. I'm just going to pick him. I think him and Anthony Davis are 2 of the top 3 guys. Giannis is number 2 on my list. But honestly, the season Giannis had, don't take it away from him. LeBron, like, he's trying to get those wins in right now. He's trying to get the awards in before he retires, just to have that list of accomplishments completed. That's what he's trying to do. Next year, he can do it. But honestly, LeBron had such a great year. And to get 16 votes, I think that was a little bit more than I think he should have got. I'm not saying that Giannis should have ran away with it, but I think Giannis deserved the MVP for sure. But I don't know. What do you think? I know you just pretty much rattled up a bunch of F-bombs. Just saying.
So here's what I think of LeBron. Try focusing on not being so goddamn tired in the fourth quarter, and less about how many MVP votes you got. You know, you never heard Jordan sitting around complaining about MVP votes. Michael Jordan won the MVP 5 times. He could have won it like 8 or 9. They were giving it away in the mid-90s, man. Like, Charles Barkley deserved the MVP in 93. I believe that. But when they gave it to like Karl Malone in the late 90s, when Jordan was being Jordan, it doesn't make any sense to me. Here's what I love about that quote, though. He says, I finished second a lot in my career, either from a championship or now 4 times as MVP. Hey, LeBron, how about you tell us how many times you've come in second in the championship? 6, motherfucker. That's how many times Jordan won the NBA Finals. Now, I get it. LeBron's been to the finals, 9 times. That makes him the great. No, he's lost 6 of them. Okay, he's too tired to finish it off. He's too tired trying to count his MVP votes and instead of worrying about ways to win. Now, granted, and I'm not going to go down the whole LeBron debate, in the beginning of his career, he had Ilgauskas on his team. Like, I get it, okay? He's had to carry the load in so many different ways. It's unbelievable. But seeing him bitch and moan about MVP votes, it's like, come on, LeBron. Fuck MVP votes, man. You're in there. You're fighting for a title right now. You're fighting to continue your legacy, and you're sitting there. He said pissed off 3 times in there. I'm pissed off. He said pissed off so many times.
Yeah, I think their energy, though, too, in the bubble is a little bit more different, especially when you heard Paul George saying he's in a dark place and stuff. This is stuff you don't really hear from these players. I feel like if it was out in the open and we didn't have this pandemic, I don't think we would really have the same response from LeBron. But I think just making the finals that many times he did is still really, really tough. So I don't understand why he would be so pissed off. I think the whole league knew Giannis would win. So, yeah, Giannis should be angry. He didn't get those votes.
Yeah,
right?
Giannis should be angry. He didn't get those votes. I agree. I mean, he should have been a unanimous. He was the Defensive Player of the Year. It's a regular season award, LeBron. Like, you could win the postseason MVP. That's the one that matters, dude. So just let it go. And we've talked about LeBron way too long on a Suns Jam Session podcast. Let's see. We got just a few minutes left here. So let's fire up just one of these just for fun, just because we like to say no. I think it's time for our Dumb Trade of the Week. You hear that one?
Yeah, I turned my volume up.
All right, cool. All right, so of course, Bleacher Report is in the process of putting together a bunch of different trade ideas. That we have one that says one offseason trade idea for every NBA team. We have another that says the best trade every NBA team can actually make in this offseason. So Matthew, we'll choose one of these for this podcast. Should we go for the one-off offensive or the one-off season trade idea for every NBA team, or the best trade every NBA team can make this offseason? Okay, so in this one, Bleacher Report suggests that the Sacramento Kings are the team that we court via trade, and we give up Kelly Oubre Jr. and Cameron Johnson. What do we receive in return, you might ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. We'll get Nemanja Bjelica. I can never say that dude's name. How do you say it? It's Bjelica, right?
I've never had to pronounce his name, so I don't know.
Yeah, he's a decent power forward. And Marvin Bagley. So we get Bjelica and Marvin Bagley, and we give up Kelly Oubre Jr. and Cameron Johnson. Matthew Lissy, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I like this one. It's not dumb trade of the week for me. I know obviously you're saying Cameron Johnson, Kelly Oubre, but okay, the one thing was with Marvin Bagley. If he can stay healthy, I think he can be like a third-team All-NBA guy. I really think he could be, and it would be awesome to have him and DeAndre Ayton playing together, starting, and then and then you have them beat Luka Doncic in the finals, or not in the finals, but in the playoffs. And then it's just like 3 guys before Doncic beat him. That's what it takes to beat Doncic. But honestly, I kind of like it just because I think Marvin Bagley's ceiling is so high compared to Cameron Johnson and Kelly Oubre. Cameron Johnson, of course, is great. I mean, he's good for where he was picked. He fulfilled his role, all that. But I think Marvin Bagley, his ceiling is too high as long as he can stay healthy. So I kind of like this trade. Sorry, I'm weird about it, but I like it.
You're weird about a lot of things. It's all good. It is Bjelica, so I did it right. I just can't get his first name right.
Oh,
it's
very nice.
Nemanja Bjelica. This isn't a horribly trade, I guess. I do like Marvin Bagley. I am in the camp, though, of, dude, the guy is always injured. You look at Cam Johnson, he's been injured too, man, And I think Marvin Bagley is actually younger than Cameron Johnson. So the Kelly Oubre contract is going to be moved some way, someday, somehow. And I don't know if I could necessarily give up on Johnson at this point, but I can definitely support getting Marvin Bagley here some way, because I do think that him as a power forward next to DeAndre Ayton would be pretty funny to go up against.
Awesome. I don't think people realize how great that would be, but the two people that are listening, like, come on.
Yeah. Suns Geek, Bagley and Ayton, Twin Towers 2.0.
Oh, wow. That lasted, I think that lasted a year, right? Or 2 years?
Couple.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's our dumb trade of the week, which isn't technically a dumb trade of the week, I guess. Let's hit one mailbag question, and then we'll get out of here. We actually got a really good one from Todd about the cap, and I think I want to hit that next show. So we'll go with one from Vladimir Babin. So you can always email us these questions, sunsjamsession@gmail.com. Vladimir Babin says, which of these former Suns legends would do best in the current NBA? Barkley, Matrix, Stat, or Nash?
I think we got this question before. Is this a cut and paste?
So
Yeah, I don't know, because I had an issue or a hard time actually choosing between the Matrix and Steve Nash and Barkley and Stat. So, I couldn't choose, but I chose the Matrix. I think last time we answered this, just because he can do so much, and I think he'd be more appreciated in his role right now in the NBA. So I'm gonna go with the Matrix. My least favorite player on the list.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Matrix too. Let's just get that one over with. Ooh, I like what Cards took that W said in the chat. How about Oubre for Bagley? Straight up.
Yeah,
I would do that.
So no Cam Johnson though. I don't know. I mean, if we had to give up Cam Johnson, I would say yes. Sorry, I know the potential's there. He's great, but Bagley is feeling so.
So are you saying Johnson for Bagley? That would never happen.
No, Johnson and Oubre.
Oh, really? Well, if we could give up Oubre for Bagley straight up, I would do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I want to.
No
Oubre
question.
and Johnson for Bagley. Ooh,
They're
I'd
not
have to
gonna
think on that one.
no way. Well, they fired their GM and they're falling apart in Sacramento. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Well, I think that's it for this round, Matthew. Anything else going on? You watching anything new?
Oh, you know what's really funny? The last 3 days, I watched The One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest twice. It's the first time I've ever seen that movie. Have you watched that?
A long time.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Is that Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was hilarious.
You watch some weird shit, man. Well, I've been watching. Thank you for asking, but I've been watching baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah, so the Dodgers
Playoffs
have,
are starting, yeah.
well, the Dodgers have clinched the division, which whoop-de fucking do. But more importantly, both of my fantasy baseball league teams, one I'm fighting for third place, and the other I'm in a shot for first place. So I'm literally watching and counting because in that league it's all about points, and I might win the league first time ever. So.
Well, I'm very happy for you. I'm in those leagues as well. And Lou just collected my money today, so I don't think I did very good.
Oh, wah. Poor Matthew.
What? Yeah.
Well, that's it for the Suns Jam Session podcast. We appreciate everyone who watched our live stream, whether it be on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're watching it. If you're listening to the podcast, whatever platform you're listening to the Bright Side of the Sun Podcast Network on, please subscribe as well. We thoroughly appreciate it. Thank you ever so much. This beer's done, so I got to go get another one, Matthew. So I'm out.
All right, everyone, go home and love your family.
Amen. Take care.